Hook that fucker. What's up, guys? Jerry Campagna here with Campagna Lures podcast, episode number 4. I'd like to give a little shout out to our sponsors, Tika America. I use the salmon steelheads all the time for whipping. 10 feet, 10.6, medium heavy. You can check out their rods at the stores locally, or you can just get them at tikausa.com. Also to Costa sunglasses. I've been using Costas for maybe about 4 years now, and I'm pretty stoked to be on both teams, Tika and Costa. So you can check out those glasses as well. Local dealers are throughout the state. Also on costadelmar.com. So, if you guys haven't heard, we have Instagram, Campagna Lures. Instagram is, I think we have about like 15,000 followers, and we love every single one of you guys. Like, no joke. Like, we really love you guys a lot. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Like, serious. Like, for real. But not for real. IG, Campagna Lures, no space. And on Facebook, Campagna Lures. So, today's topics we're going to be talking about is, I don't like to talk about myself all the time, but I'm the only guy here, so I have to talk about myself. It's going to be about my setups, fishing setups, what I use with Campagna Lures. Also, we're going to be talking about why am I so into moi fishing? Like, why? I don't know. And lastly, it's going to be about fishing tips for upcoming fishermen or whoever just wants some tips, you know what I mean? So, first off, I like to use Tika rods, like I mentioned earlier. You can get those rods anywhere from the state, you know, any store that Izul Brothers distributes to. I'm sure they're in like a million stores statewide. The rods that I like to use is the steelhead, the salmon steelhead, the brown ones. Also, I think they brought out some of the Gallant Z's as well, which is a little bit more on the like the darker grayish looking carbon fiber handle. I like using those rods as well. Note that blank is the same blank as the salmon steelhead, so those things are workhorses. I use that like I said, I use that all the time. 10 feet, 10.6. Bruh, those things are beasts. I remember one time I pulled up, I think it was like maybe a 15 to 20 pound manta ray. I was just dunking shrimp in the front because I was doing Bill's 24-hour tournament, and I was just going for goatfish in the front like Vekis and whatnot. And what do you know? A big ass freaking manta ray grabs it. That wasn't a manta ray. It was an eagle ray. Sorry, 15 to 20 pound eagle ray, and I'm scrapping this thing thinking it was a ulua. And I'm telling my cousins because it was crossing their line, and I was like, "This is it, guys. You guys need to cut your line." You know what I mean? Because they're all like, "Oh, wow, it's rubbing," and I was just like, cut your line. And they were cutting their lines, and I'm just running it over, and we swear that thing morphed into a eagle ray. It was a ulua earlier, but then all of a sudden, bang, turned into an eagle ray. You know, it's like freaking magician. But yeah, that's my setup as far as using the blanks for whipping. I used to, use that for dunking too, just for small game in the front. I mean, they're more than capable of bringing in fish, pretty big. It really depends on, the heavy or medium heavy. Whatever you use, I mean, you can always scrap a fish with a rod. You always have a fight or a chance, you know what I mean? So as far as the rods, we got that out of the way. I like to use the 10s, 10.6, mediums, medium heavies. Also, the rods, reels that I like to use is all Shimano's. My favorite reel that I have is Sustain 5000 for whipping. Also got the CI4s as well. Usually get that spooled up with Power Pro 15 pounds or 20 pound Power Pro. And I'll run that to maybe about a 3/4 ounce to 1.5 ounce lead. Then straight to about 15 pound fluorocarbon leader, about like 6 to 7 feet fluorocarbon to a BKN 12. So my typical whipping will consist of that. You know what I mean? When I go whipping, first thing I'll do is set it up exactly like that. But the only thing I would change up is if it's windy, there's a lot of waves, like the current super strong. And me, I'm a Moi fisherman, so I like to get my line following the channel. Like, I know exactly where the Mois are kind of hanging out in the channels and their holes and whatnot. So I'll play the wind, I'll play the surge, I'll play the waves. So if it's not too windy, or if it's not, the surge isn't too bad, then I'll stick to like a 1 ounce lead. But if it's really bad, you have to kind of gauge how strong the wind is, how much slack you're getting from the wind, also how fast the current is moving. So what you want to do is, basically guide that lead in the surge to where you want it to follow, that line that you want to follow. So that's what I do all the time. Like, I mean, if it's super crazy out and you guys seen some of my videos out there, I'll be kind of hanging out like 6 to 8 feet sometimes. But I mean, you can't really do that with 1 ounce lead, because that lead is just going to be on the top and you can't really guide it. So what I used to advise all my other guys is like, hey, go heavier on your lead, so that way you can just bring it straight down and follow that path that you want it to follow. So what you have to do, though, basically, is kind of guide your slack too. If it's super windy, you have slack, you have to just kind of like learn how to play your slack. Learn how to feel the line dropping down in the water. So, like I said, I'll use anywhere between 3/4 to 1.5 ounce lead. So I used to mess around with a bunch of other hooks too before, when I first started making this lure. I use like MZs, I use limericks, I use all kinds of eagle claws, I've used all that good stuff. And I mean, I've had a lot of problems with MZs where, you get stuck. You'll end up trying to pull your line and your hook will pretty much bend. I mean, I even caught like a 2 or 3 pound bar jack once, and it wasn't even that much of a fight, but when I brought it out and I akuboed him right out of the water, it like bent my hook. So I brought it out, I was like, what the? My hook is bent, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was trial and error when I first started making my lures. I mean, like I said, I was always ultra light too. So when we started catching bigger fish, we also had to kind of change up the game as far as the hooks that I was using. So ultimately ended up using BKN 12s and 14s. I remember using 10s before, but 12s to me seemed to work the best as far as getting our lures or pairing it up with our lures and what we're targeting. Like I always tell all my customers, the way I hook my line is, hook my bait, the companion lure. There's no right or wrong way. You can thread them, or if you just want to hook the tip, just hook the tip, and you should be all G. Now the other thing is with our Frantic. Some guys was talking about the Frantics will spin. So what I always tell them prior to picking up our lures is, hey, just hook the tip. Prior to throwing it out, just run it right in front of you in the water. Go left to right, and see if it's kind of spinning. If it's spinning, then you're kind of pinching it or bending the body with the hook. So you want to make sure the body is straight and the hook is not interfering with that. So if it's straight, bang, cast it out. You should be good to go. Yep, rod, Power Pro, 5K, 4K is cherry. I know guys go 3K. I know guys go ultralight with my lures. And there's no right or wrong way. As long as you got the lure in the water, you got a chance, Just get it out there. And you'll figure it out. You'll figure out what your setup is. Everybody has different setups. This is just my setup. And this, I'm always going for mois. Sometimes I'll hit papillos. I'll hit big boys at the moi holes. Or, as far as whipping, that's my ultimate setup right there. So that's it. Let's jump to the next topic. Why am I a moi fanatic? But before I jump into that, let me take a sip of this Miller Lite real quick, because that's my other sponsor. I totally wish, but you know what I mean? Like, what I really want, though, for Companion Lures podcast is like some kind of local sponsor. If you guys have anybody that wants to sponsor the Companion Lure podcast, let me know. We'll definitely throw them on board. Locals supporting locals. That's the way to do it. Anyway, why am I a moi fanatic? That's a good question. Why am I a moi fanatic? Jerry Campagna Lures is only making lures for to catch mois. Why is he always trying to catch mois? Well, I'm gonna tell you guys why. because I love to eat moi. Nah, honestly, to tell you guys the truth, like no joke, the first time I ever caught a moi, I was tripping out. Like I was always a papillo dude. Always going out for papillos. That's all I wanted to eat was papillos. I wanted a bigger papillo. I wanted a bigger one than that the next time I go. I don't want a 6 pound. I want 7 pound. You know what I mean? I was like whipping, and then all of a sudden I bump into catching this silverfish with whiskers, and I'm like, I know what this is. I know it's a moi, but what the hell? I've never caught one before, and that kind of drove me crazy. Like I was like, okay, kind of did some research on the fish and found out, the legal limits and regulations for that fish, and I was just hooked all of a sudden, like no pun intended, like literally hooked. So I'm like looking at it. I'm like looking at this fish. It's such a beautiful fish. I love this fish, and that's where the whole thing pretty much happened. I was just like so addicted to trying to catch moi whipping because I know my family wasn't really into moi fishing. They were all into like papillos and dunking for eels, uluos, and all that other stuff. But menpachis, whipping for them at night. But nobody was really targeting mois, and that just intrigued me so much. To a point where I was like a fanatic of, addicted to trying to find out everything about them. And I've done so much research as to, like trying to figure out like where they thrive, what areas on the island are the biggest, the smallest. And I've done so much research trying to catch that fish. That I used to have like moon calendars and tide charts of days where I used to pound like 15 to 20 and release all of them and log all that down like in a little book. Well, actually not really a book. I had them on my iPhone. So, I mean, I had like, I think it was 4 months at a time where I basically had every single log of me going for mois at certain spots on the island. And the water, color, everything. And I was just like obsessed, you know what I mean? So at one point, I remember I got tags from the DAR, Annette Tagawa, in fact. And I remember they gave me 15. Because I think it's I can't remember. 15, I think. So they gave me a set of 15. I took that out the first day and I tagged 15 mois that was undersized, like 9 to 10 inches. Sent it in, and then I told them, can you give me more? And they're like, wait, you used it all? Like, well, I got like so much spots that have so much smaller ones. I mean, you can't really tag mois under, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you can tag a moi under 9 inches because they're too frail. But yeah, and I told them basically like, my spots that I have, there's all smaller ones, but it's legal enough to tag. So they sent me like 2 or 3 more, and I was just tagging away like crazy. Keeping 1, tagging, 10. Keeping 2, tagging like 8 or whatever. And I got to a point where I got pretty good at it, And I ended up just adventuring to, I don't know how many spots in like 1 month. I went from south, east, all the way to north, all the way back to the west. And I played every single ground, trying to figure out where they thrive and like, just looking at how they are in the water. Because when I used to dive all the time too. I grew up diving, and I kind of know like, how regular fish kind of react in the water, like papillo and whatnot. But I've never seen moi in the water. And I mean, I was just at the wrong spots diving, obviously, because nobody's gonna dive in white water, right? So it was super intriguing. I did figure out grounds that I've never fished before, and the key thing to me was just me being so curious and talking to a bunch of older fishermen, moi fishermen. The way I am with guys talking story. I mean, I talk story with everybody, and I kind of got ins with a bunch of old school guys, and I mean, we're still friends now. Till now, we're still friends. We go back and forth about colors. We go back and forth about spots, and all this other stuff, and till now I'm still the same exact way with all my customers. You know what I mean? Like, appreciate all the input that they give, and I try to give the best of knowledge I have, as far as giving them tips to catch moi. And we're providing some pretty hammer lures as far as the colors go. Campania Lures is killing it with the mois, and that's the pretty much the basics on why I'm so obsessed with catching moi. And like I said before on episode 2, um, Campania Lures, or episode 1, sorry, Campania Lures was based off of catching moi. And I still think till this day I have like, I don't know, anywhere between like 10 to like 15 spots. But I only go to like 2 or 3 nowadays, you know what I mean? Because back in the day I was just so obsessed, just trying to figure out new spots. Anyway, I think I took that way too long, but that's why I'm so crazy about moi. And we got the lures to prove it. CampaniaLures.com is where you can pick up all these lures, you know what I mean? So, okay, I'm just gonna jump to the next subject. I got some like tips for upcoming whippers, or I mean new whippers out there. I know there's a lot of new customers that come in. Um, Before they used to ask me all the time, like, "Hey Jerry, what's a good setup?" But I mean, lately, everybody's just talking to me at the store or online, via DM, and they already know what they're trying to target, and they already have their setup. So it's getting a lot more easier. Before, whipping was always big, in Hawaii, but then as far as like the questions from before, I can see all my customers evolving from where they are 5 years ago till now. But every single day we have new customers, and I'd like to kind of help those guys out as well. So as far as whipping tips for new whippers, fishermen, men or women, whatever, kids, I'd like to start off by going. You don't have to have anything fancy. Start off small. Go to Walmart, get a 7-foot rod combo. Spool them up. You can if you want, just use the stock line that's on there right now. It can be anywhere between like 4 to 6 pounds. Just get comfortable throwing. Figure out if you like using lead. Figure out if you like using floaters. Figure out if you like using, bubble floats, all that other good stuff. Figure out what you're trying to target. Also start practicing, your whipping techniques. Bubble float, you'd obviously want to try and keep it up top, pop it for all the predatory fish. Or if you're going to be using lead, you have to figure out how fast you should retrieve. If you're going to be using lead and sand, going for mois, vekis, going for anything, you can switch that 7-footer to a dunker too. Just play around, just get out there, just fish. Also, yeah, just figure out your leader length as well. You can play around with that. If you're, I remember before growing up, when I used to whip a bubble float, I used to have my leader like so long and I had my bubble float set up. I swear to God, it was like 12 feet. My leader was like 12 feet, and I had like a strip from Ibizuzaki, the pearls. I used to use Hawaiian anglers or all kinds of colors, you know what I mean? So my leader was so long that it wasn't as long as the Akule guys. The Akule guys, man, those guys, I give them so much props. Those guys going for Akule, their leader is like 20 feet. And while they're reeling it in, like they're on the rocks, their line is still in the water and they're casting again. You know how much talent that takes? That's a lot of talent. And you still have to like try not to get tangled next to Uncle Ricardo and Uncle Ignacio next to you. You know what I mean? Because if you get tangled with them, they're gonna pull in their line. They're gonna see what kind of magical bait you're using, and you don't want to show that. You don't like show them the blood worms. You know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, yeah, figure out your leader length. Figure it out. It's like, see, just gotta get out there, figure it out. The only way you're gonna learn is if you get out there and get schooled. I got schooled so many times. I still get schooled. Every day is a learning day. Every day is always something different. I mean, if every day is the same, then change your spots. Go find someplace else to play. Go just adventure. Get out there, fish. Um, yeah, it's pretty much the rule. That's episode 4, bro. Was I babbling or what? Was I babbling too much? I think so. I didn't have any time to do questions from my customers on Instagram because, you know what, to tell you guys the truth, for me to do this right now was like so spur of the moment because I'm so busy. Like I have kids. I also have to run Campania lures, and also I have to fly to Thailand tomorrow morning. Totally fucking with you guys. I'm not flying nowhere. I just had to like do it now. Get you guys episode 4, and I hope that I, shared some good information with you guys. I mean, if you guys feel like this information is good for somebody else that's learning, or for anybody in general, just send it to them. And also, I'm serious about that sponsor. Bruh, if anybody want to sponsor Molokai bread, bruh, sponsor us. I eat bread while I do this. You know what I mean? Bruh, hook me up. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Make sure you guys check out CampaniaLures.com. Oh, totally forgot about this. We have a new shape coming out. And I'm not even gonna say exactly what it is, but it's pretty freaking badass, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but it's in the works right now, and I'm stoked about it. I'm pretty sure you guys gonna be stoked too. But yeah, CampaniaLures.com. Please check it out. CampaniaLures.com. Support your locals. Instagram is CampaniaLures. No space. I'd like to thank you guys once again for everything you guys do for Campania Lures. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Peace.